Welcome to News Express. Today, we take you beyond the headlines, beyond the polls, and into one of the most important and sensitive questions shaping Nigeria's political future. Is northern Nigeria, long regarded as the backbone of traditional political power, beginning to shift its loyalty towards a new kind of leadership? And at the center of this conversation is Peter Obi, a figure whose rise has challenged many of the assumptions that have defined Nigerian elections for decades. To understand the weight of this question, it is important to first recognize the historical context. The North has always played a decisive role in determining electoral outcomes in Nigeria, not just because of its population size, but because of its political structure, voting patterns, and the influence of established networks that have guided voters' behavior over time. Loyalty in this region has often been shaped by a combination of factors, including party affiliation, regional identity, religious considerations, and the endorsement of key political and traditional leaders. For years, these elements have created a relatively predictable pattern of political alignment, one that has consistently favored certain candidates and parties. However, recent developments suggest that this pattern may no longer be as stable as it once was. The 2023 election introduced a new dynamic into the political conversation, one that saw Peter Obi emerge as a strong contender with support that cut across traditional boundaries. While his performance in the North did not surpass that of more established candidates, it revealed something significant. It showed that there is a segment of northern voters who are willing to consider alternatives, particularly when those alternatives align with their expectations for governance, accountability, and economic stability. This emerging openness is not happening in isolation. It is part of a broader shift in political consciousness that is taking place across Nigeria, particularly among younger voters who are becoming increasingly influential in shaping electoral outcomes. In the North, as in other regions, issues such as unemployment, security, education, and economic opportunity are becoming central to political decision-making. Voters are asking more questions, seeking more information, and in some cases, moving away from traditional loyalties in search of solutions that address their immediate concerns. Within this context, Peter Obi's message has begun to resonate with a growing number of individuals in the region. His emphasis on economic reform, fiscal discipline, and governance accountability speaks directly to some of the challenges facing northern communities. For many, the appeal lies not just in what he promises, but in how he communicates those promises. His approach is often seen as straightforward, data-driven, and focused on measurable outcomes, qualities that are increasingly valued in a political environment where trust has been eroded over time. But does this growing interest translate into a real shift in loyalty? That is where the analysis becomes more complex. While there is evidence of increased engagement with Obi's message in parts of the North, it is important to recognize that the region is far from homogeneous. Different states have different political dynamics, and what applies in one area may not necessarily apply in another. Traditional political structures, including party organizations and influential leaders, still play a significant role in shaping voter behavior. These structures have been built over decades and continue to command a level of influence that cannot be easily displaced. At the same time, there is a visible tension between these established structures and the emerging wave of independent political thinking. This tension is particularly evident among younger voters, who are more likely to be influenced by digital platforms, peer networks, and issue-based campaigns than by traditional political endorsements. In many northern cities, conversations about governance and leaderships are increasingly taking place outside conventional political spaces, creating new channels through which ideas can spread and gain traction. Another factor that is contributing to this evolving landscape is the role of the diaspora and cross-regional engagement. Nigerians living outside the country, as well as those in other regions, are actively participating in political discussions, sharing information, and influencing perceptions through social media and other platforms. This has created a more interconnected political environment where ideas can move more freely and where regional boundaries are less rigid than they once were. Despite these changes, it would be premature to conclude that the North has fully shifted its loyalty towards Peter Obi. Political change, particularly in a region with such deep-rooted traditions, tends to be gradual rather than sudden. What we are seeing at the moment may be better understood as a process of transformation rather than a completed shift. It is a period in which old patterns are being questioned, new ideas are being introduced, and voters are exploring alternatives without necessarily abandoning their existing preferences. This is also the question of political organization and mobilization. While Obi's support base has demonstrated strong enthusiasm and engagement, converting that energy into electoral success requires a level of coordination and structures that matches the capability of established political parties. In the North, where voter mobilization often depends on local networks and on-the-ground organization, this remains a critical factor. Without it, even the most compelling message may struggle to translate into votes on election day. Furthermore, the role of other northern political figures cannot be ignored. Leaders such as Atiku Abubakar and Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso continue to hold significant influence with the region, each commanding their own support base and political structure. Their presence ensures that the political landscape remains competitive and that any potential shift towards Obi must contend with strong and established alternatives. In the final analysis, the question of whether the North is shifting its traditional loyalty towards Peter Obi does not have a simple yes or no answer. What is clear is that the conversation is changing. Voters are becoming more engaged, more informed, and in some cases, more willing to consider new options. This, in itself, represents a significant development in a political environment that has long been defined by continuity. As Nigeria moves closer to the next election cycle, this evolving dynamic will continue to unfold. It will be shaped by the actions of political leaders, the strategies of parties, and most importantly, the decisions of voters who are increasingly aware of the power they hold. Because, in the end, loyalty in politics is not permanent. It is aimed, tested, and when necessary, redefined. That's all for now on News Express. And to our amazing viewers, kindly like, subscribe, and share this video. I'm Chidera Esom. Thank you for watching. Do have a beautiful day.